Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of the Intelligent Moron with Alex Silva. There was one day when I was eating dinner. I was having spaghetti, and I was enjoying it quite a bit. I truly enjoy spaghetti. It's one of my favorite foods of all time. Favorite comfort food, favorite warm food, favorite food in general. It's a simple meal. It's hearty. It's flavorful. It fills you up. It's a really good food that I think has become a staple for me. Like just one of the things that I enjoy eating, pretty much anytime really. It's really good. And as I was eating it, right, and I'm a meat sauce guy. I enjoy spaghetti with meat sauce. Usually that comes with like ground beef and like some crushed up Italian sausage. I like that in my spaghetti. I like meatballs too. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like just the flavor of the meat sauce is overall for me better, just because it's like when you cook the meat within the sauce and you get like that deliciously meat flavored red sauce for your spaghetti. It's just really, really good. And I think that it's one of the best foods that you can eat. But I was eating it, right? Enjoying my meal, eating like a civilized human being with a fork, twirling my noodles, getting a little bit of meat sauce in that, some meat chunks, a little bit of cheese on there, and eating it. And as I was eating it, I had a thought that just popped into my brain. And this thought really does kind of encapsulate the meaning and the title of this show. Like wholeheartedly. Like there is like no wiggle room. There is no unauthenticity with this. There is no phoniness. This is purely like just what kind of popped into my brain as I was eating spaghetti for dinner one night. And the thought was, wow, it's kind of crazy how animals use their mouths to kill other animals. Just kind of popped into my head. Because we're human beings, right? We have evolved as a species from cavemen to the first civilizations, Bronze Age, all that until modern day humans, right? We have evolved so far in the timeline. And to my knowledge, I don't think that any human being or any like humanoid that ever lived on this planet ever used their mouth to kill other animals than to eat them. We would probably use our hands or craft a weapon, right? I mean, just kind of think about that, right? A lion uses its mouth to kill a gazelle. It does. It might use its claws to kind of like hold it down, but ultimately it's using its mouth and its teeth and its bite force to kill the animal. And then usually when it's dead, it'll just begin to eat the animal, right? But like it's just kind of crazy to think that all these animals, their primary weapon is their mouths. I just never really thought of it that way. How like primal that is. We were blessed with various teeths, so we can eat vegetables, fruits, plants, and meat as well as like other soft things like grains and stuff like that. We truly were blessed with like the perfect set of teeth, I guess you could say, right? But if you think about it, right, like I can't really use my mouth to strangle another animal. I can't do that. I can't even use my mouth to strangle another human being. Our mouths are way too strong, or way too small, I should say. Not enough range on our mouths to use them as a weapon. You look at a bear, his mouth can open wide, super wide, in order to use it as a weapon. While hunting, to execute an animal, to then eat the animal. I've even seen, videos of bears fighting each other. And yeah, they'll claw a lot and they'll like wrestle, but they like to bite like their opponent like hard. I've seen it. I've seen some pretty grisly, no pun intended, bear fights on the internet. And they're pretty awesome. I'll admit they're awesome. Nature at its work. But, they can get pretty freaking violent, and it comes to the point where you're watching it and you're like, whoa, this bear is like taking chunks out of this other bear, and this bear is just bleeding profusely, and he's still fighting. It's like, whoa, man! I just like the sheer strength from a bear, right? Like a big giant bear, truly is like unmatchable with anything on this planet. Land animal, I guess you could say. But they primarily use their mouths to kill as the weapon of choice, right? It's just kind of crazy to me how we are so different. Like, sure, like we killed animals to eat them, but we used tools. And even if we didn't have any tools, we would use our hands. We would not just kill an animal with our mouths. That's just like not human nature. We would not do that. We aren't physically capable to do that. Not designed that way. Just so strange. Everything else kind of is, if you think about it. The thing about this, a snake, like a venomous snake, would use its mouth, which contains its fangs, which contains venom, to kill its prey. An ant, if it was fighting something, would use its pincers, like on its mouth, to kill something else, right? I guess you could say like a bee would not use its mouth. A bee would use its stinger, right? Some animals, some insects, I guess you could say, would use like their weapon of choice, which would be usually their stinger or their, some kind of thing that they have that they use as a weapon. Now, the sad part with the bee is it's a one and done, right? One and done, you got one shot and it's essentially suicide. It's a very sad thing, very sad. It's almost like why would you even give a bee a stinger? For that one self-defense where once you use it up, boom, you're done. It's over. I would imagine that bees are now evolving to where they just won't even sting. They'll just let whatever swipe them off. Hopefully that they survive. I'm not like I'm okay. So I don't really encounter bees all that much anymore. Not outside as much as I used to be when I was younger. But when I was younger and I was in the schoolyard, like elementary school, when I was that young, you could always find bees just hovering above the grass. Like just flowers that are sprouting out of the grass, they'll just be there and you'll see bees every single day. It was like the wild out there when you went outside because you knew that bees could sting you and it would hurt really bad. Like, I'm not somebody who messes around with like pain. I know I've been stung by a bee and it hurts really bad. It's not a fun experience, so I avoid that. I would imagine that now bees have evolved far enough to know that, hey, this thing that we have, this stinger, if we use it, we're done. So we can't use it anymore. They're probably thinking like, I don't know what kind of sick trick God was playing with our design, but to give us our one mechanism of defense and we're done if we use it, essentially suicide, not cool, man. Not cool. If I was a bee, I would hate my life. I truly would hate my life. Hey, if you've seen Bee Movie starring Jerry Seinfeld, you know all too well that if you use your stinger, you're toast as a bee. It was in the later part of the movie when I think Barry's friend Adam got really angry at a human and decided to, like, you know what, I'm gonna sting this guy, and in the process, I'm gonna take my life. And Adam, is angry at the situation that they're in. The bees are losing their legal battle with the humans, and he gets frustrated, and he uses his stinger on this one lawyer guy, right? And at that moment, Barry knows, like, oh my God, what has Adam done? He's essentially killed himself. And Adam, once he stings him and the stinger is gone, he begins to die. It's only, thankfully to Barry's quick awareness and quick actions that they're able to rush Adam to the hospital where he is surgically given an artificial stinger so he's able to survive. They make that a very serious point in the movie where, hey, Adam almost died, almost sacrificed himself, in sheer anger towards the human beings. He nearly lost his life, which is tragic. And a movie like that, right? A kid's movie, did not have to go that dark. It wasn't like as dark as I think that I'm explaining it, but the subject matter is dark. Like, that will kill the bee. The bee will die. Now, I'm not some person who's ever seen a bee die from that. Now, when I got stung, I immediately swatted the bee, and it was in the grass, and I never saw it, right? But I know that it died because that's just the science. You take out the stinger from your skin, you're like, ow, But I knew that bee had died. I knew that bee lost its life because it made the choice to sting me. I would just think now that, bees no longer sting as much as they would probably back then. At a sheer, like, I don't want to lose my life if I don't have to, so I'm not. Maybe the bee thinks that, hey, if a human being sees me on it, land on its arm, it'll probably swat me off, but I got to have self-control, and I got to not sting because, hey, I might be able to survive the swat that it gives me with its hand. I could survive that, sure. I might have a broken wing, maybe a little bit of a twisted leg, maybe a couple broken wings. Maybe my wings are detached. Maybe the impact of the fall might hurt me, right? But I won't die. Hopefully, a bee has a much better chance of survival being swatted off of my arm than him stinging me in self-defense. Because either way, right? Either way, if a bee stings me or not, I'm going to swat him away. If he stings me and I swat him, he's going to have a painful, painful death. He's going to have a broken wing, broken leg, maybe a concussion, right? Internal bleeding, and slowly die because his stinger is away from his body. And he's leaking all of his vital organs out onto the battlefield, and he's dead, right? Essentially, he's going to be like that one guy in Saving Private Ryan when his guts are out on the beach, and he's yelling for his mother. That's essentially what that's going to happen to that bee if he stings me in self-defense while I swat him, right? So I would just kind of think that a bee nowadays is not going to even think about stinging me. Now, that's not to say that a bee is a smart animal. It's not. It's probably not going to think at all. It's probably just going to sting me because a sense of motion or vibration in my arm or in like the air above that, oh, danger, I got a sting, right? I think that bees are pretty smart though. I know they're small creatures and they have a job with pollinating flowers and making honey and, doing all this good stuff and pollinating and making flowers bloom. That's a beautiful thing that bees do. So they must be somewhat kind of smart. It's almost like ants, right? Ants have a pretty, a pretty um, down to the T way of neat and organized way of moving in and out of places and completing tasks. They do it in a way where it's like, oh, it's like um, a microscopic army. They just kind of do things all together. They're in a row, in a line. They're always together. They're never by themselves. They're always working together. It's beautiful, right? So they must be somewhat smart. Or the way that they were created is like, you must complete this task. I will give you the brain power enough to complete this task and this task and this task. And that is all that your brain will ever be able to comprehend. And you will do that for the rest of your existence on this planet. Maybe it could be that, or they're actually intelligent. We just have no way of communicating with them because we talk verbally and they must talk in another way. I don't think that dogs or cats can communicate with each other. Like a dog and a dog and a cat and a cat. I don't think that they communicate in a way like we do. I don't think a bark is like a language. I don't think a meow or hiss is a language that we have verbally and written. I doubt that. So I don't even know how they communicate, but there must be a way on how they do. Maybe it's telepathically. Maybe it's through certain gestures, body language, something like that. Maybe it's something simple like, hello, goodbye, you're a threat, I'm just passing by. Something like that. It's got to be something like very, very simple. I just don't know exactly what it is. Like when a dog barks at another dog, is it because it's excited to see that dog? Is it worried that that dog might attack its owner? Is it like, does it just straight up not like the dog? Do dogs have some type of prejudice towards other dogs? Is that a thing? Has that been studied? Will that be studied? It probably should be studied. I mean, I don't know the exact science or the exact way we would go about studying something like that, but it sure does sound something that we should probably know, or at least try to understand, because we deal with dogs all the time. We have dogs as pets. There's dogs on the street. Your friend might have a dog. You might have a dog. A relative of yours might have a dog. And we really have no idea, no true idea what it could be communicating towards us. And we should probably figure that out sooner rather than later. It's like a simple science, right? Simple. It's a day-to-day thing that we see in our lives every single day, a dog or a cat, right? Why would it not be the mission and the goal for modern day science to figure out exactly what our pets are trying to say to us? You know that movie, The Secret Life of Pets? Now, I've never seen it, but it's essentially a movie where dogs and cats can, I believe, speak English / communicate with each other by talking whenever a human is not around. Kind of like how in Toy Story, how the toys are alive, are conscious, are sentient, and can speak English towards each other, communicate like us, but they're toys. That's how that movie is. What if that was kind of how animals are whenever a human being is not around? That would be kind of mind-blowing. Imagine like going into a safari, right? And like you're in the savannah and you see a herd of elephants and they're just doing some regular schmegular elephant things, right? Rolling in mud, going into a river, taking a bath, eating some leaves. And then, you pass by, you're in your Jeep and you go by and then yada, yada, yada. And then imagine an elephant's like looking like their humans are far enough, like, all right, guys, we can talk now. Like, could you imagine that being real? Whoa. It would change our entire understanding of life on this earth. I would be absolutely shocked. I would not know how to respond. I would be just like, what is life? What am I supposed to do? How could I move on when this is real? And my entire life and my understanding of life on this planet was a sham and was not true, and I have been lied to. I could not imagine that. I could have not imagined something like that being a realization and that coming to fruition. And I'm like, whoa. So am I just supposed to live my life the same way? Is that even possible? That's something that I think about. Not a whole lot, but if it was true, I wouldn't know how to respond. I wouldn't know how to live. I think I'd have a lot of questions. Is God real? Where are the aliens? Where is this dimension? The fourth dimension, is that real? A lot of questioning would be forced upon me. And I would be like, whoa, I don't even know where to begin. How do I begin? Where did we begin? Right? There's so much like studying of prehistoric life, right? We got fossils of dinosaurs, at least confirmed died 65 million years ago. We have museums dedicated to prehistoric life, like dinosaurs, early mammals. Is there a museum dedicated to early human beings? Early Homo sapiens, early Neanderthals? Like, I would love, love, love to know if something like that actually existed, so I can go there and study that and see truly our early stages of life and how far we have come. That would be really cool to see, would it not? I think that it would. I think that it truly would. I don't know if that's a thing that actually exists, a museum of early humans, but that would be something that I would really, really want to learn about. I mean, I don't even know how true our timeline is of when early humans appeared. I don't know exactly when that was, but I would have to imagine it was way after dinosaurs. Another animal that uses its mouth as a weapon, pretty much every single one of these is a fish. Like a shark, a barracuda, a piranha. Those animals all use their mouths as their weapon. Even into the sea mammals, dolphin, whale, walrus, seal, leopard seal, turtle, a sea reptile / amphibian. Those all use their mouths as a weapon. Crocodile. That's not even a fish. It's just like a reptile. But that uses its mouth as a weapon. Like, you don't see him using its hands and feet to, fend off enemies. It uses its mouth. That's crazy. What a crazy design for an animal. Its big weapon of choice is connected to its head, and that is essentially the its weapon. I mean, if you actually think about it, though, does a shark have a head? Does it? We have heads. They're connected to our neck, which is connected to our upper body. Our I guess you could say, I don't even know what this part of the body would be. Our shoulders? Yeah. It's connected to our shoulders, and which is connected to our head is connected to our neck. Our neck is connected to our shoulders, or whatever you call this part of the body, right? A shark, if you think about it, does not really have a head. It's just a tube. Like a fish doesn't have a head, right? It's just a fish. There is no head. That's kind of strange. A whale does not have a head, right? Like if you say that a whale, like a big blue or big humpback whale, has a head, then you're talking about like half of its body is a head. And I don't think that's right. Correct. What'd you say? I don't know. A fish don't have a head at all. It's just got eyes in its body, and then I guess you could say the whole thing is its head. I mean, I just don't know exactly where you draw the line. If you look at a fish's anatomy, if I was to break out like a book on the anatomy of fishes, I doubt you could say that any diagram or any picture of a fish's body or anatomy is going to read head anywhere. I don't think that's even possible, right? But that animal also uses its mouth as a weapon, the weapon of choice to kill other fishes, kill its prey, use it as to eat its food, right? I don't know, just something kind of popped into my head. Didn't really know how to explain it, just kind of was there, nestled in there, all from just eating a plate of spaghetti. I don't really know exactly why that happened, but it did. Interesting thoughts at an interesting time, right? No one really knows why thoughts appear in our head. Maybe something's kind of like you're doing something that's kind of similar, or seeing something, and you're like, you kind of question it, and then sometimes your brain just kind of goes a little wild and is like, whoa, hold on, what about this? Or what about that? How about this, or how about that? I guess that's a healthy thing to have, right? Like, you would want that to happen. You would want to know that your brain is actually ticking, is that the gears are shifting, the gears are rotating, right? Maybe not in the way that I should have them, right? It'd be cool if I was figuring out a true problem that we have as a species, like a true problem, like how the heck do we make something that is more, I guess, fuel efficient? How can we solve a problem where, how about this is a problem that we have, right, that occurs am I saying that right? Occurs. Yeah, occurs. We have a problem that occurs, that's how you say it, in every single day. Every single day this problem occurs, and we all think that we know how to stop it, but it never really is stopped, right? And that's the problem of one country fighting another country. What is that problem called? What does that come down to? What does that result into, right? When one country does not like another country, that results in a war. War is a problem that we have that I think that is very, very, very solvable. And it doesn't take a whole lot of brain power to solve it. It just takes everybody in the problem to buy in to the solution. I'm not a world expert. I'm not a country's advisor. I'm not a politician. I'm not a smart man. But I do think that if there is a way to fix a problem a problem so gigantic as a war between countries, using my brain power, right, and everybody's collective brain power that is involved in this conflict, that would be the best, probably the best place and best scenario where we could use our collective brain power to solve an issue that I think is truly a big issue, but also a very, very, very solvable issue, which for some reason takes a long time for anybody in each party to actually solve, right? I don't know. I'm just, it's not like, we don't see wars break out all the time between many different countries, day in, day out, this week, next week, this month, next month. It happens quite a bit. A lot more than I think a lot of us would like it to happen. War does suck. It's not a good thing. It really isn't, And I guess you could say like that would be like the best thing that we could do as a society, as a collective way of thinking that would benefit humanity, is to solve that problem of like, how can we stop a war? It's a lot easier said than done, obviously. We're very territorial people, human beings. We like our stuff. And if one country wants our stuff, well, we're not going to let them just take our stuff. Would you let somebody that you do not respect, do not like, take your favorite pair of shoes? No, you would not let that happen. There would be some confrontation. There could be a little conflict. It's not that simple. And I guess you could say, when it comes to an actual war, it's only elevated. The simplicity is no longer there. It's much more complicated. I guess a superpower that I would love to have is the ability to always win in an argument. That way I could always just end a war. Just end war. End all suffering. End all confrontation. Wouldn't that be a great power to have? I get it. I would love super strength. I would love it. I would love the ability to fly. I would love laser vision. I would love indestructibility. I would love all that. But the power to win every argument, ooh, that'd be pretty tempting. I'm not going to lie. Cannot lie. What actually, has been going on quite a bit online that I've noticed, and is actually making me kind of frustrated just at the way we view things nowadays, and how warped our brains really are, and how we have truly probably lost the war between human and artificial intelligence. And obviously, somebody has to type this into the artificial intelligence for them to create something to this extent. But I've been seeing this trend online, and it's just getting more and more, I think, out of hand every day I see it. And it is AI, and it's video AI. And what it is it is security cam footage, ring cam footage, surveillance footage of something's happening in a surveillance or type of security camera, whether it be like on a porch or in like overlooking a living room or just outside someone's door, right? They'll have these crazy, interactions or crazy, they'll have like I think I saw a video of a guy who has apparently a security camera in his his bathroom. You don't see anything that's like of like obscenities or whatever, right? It's just like, it's just like showing his chest up, and above him, behind him, is a window. It's like he looked like he could be in like a outhouse in a forest. And what happens in the video is a deer breaks through the window and looks like it's being chased. It's very quick. The video happens very, very, very quick. And then right after, a grizzly bear jumps right through that window trying to catch the deer. And they're all like tumbling and wrestling in that bathroom for like a quick second. And then the deer just kind of like, makes its way out through the window, and the bear's just kind of there. And the guy's just like, ah. It's a very quick thing that happened, but I saw it and I was like, whoa, this is crazy. This is wild. I can't believe I saw this. And then I saved the video on my Instagram. Then I kept scrolling and I saw another video similar to this. Very similar. I'm like, wait a minute. Hold on a sec. Is this real? And then so I went to the first video. And then what you need to do nowadays, and it's really annoying, but you have to do it, is you got to make sure that when you tap on a video, tap the captions and look at what they say. I went back to this video and I tapped on it. And one of the hashtags on this video was AI. So I had known from that, I'm like, this ain't real. And then I went to the comments and they're like, lol, not real, lol, AI, lol, this, and like, oh my God. But I fell for it because you expect like that footage on those Ring cameras or security surveillance cameras is not always super sharp and full HD. So when I had seen that, I was like, this is crazy. What is going on? All to find out that it was just not real. And I was like, whoa, I got played so hard, man. And I've only seen more and more and more of these type of videos. Now, that one, as crazy as it was, looked very like it could have been believable. There are some that are just absolutely, truly not believable whatsoever. And they're AI, but they kind of look real, There was one where it was a Ring camera, and it was showing from the door's perspective, right? It was showing the door of the house, right? An old lady opens the door, right? And at the door is a dog, and on the dog is a squirrel, like riding the dog like a human rides a horse. And then the woman's like, oh, look how cute you are. Very believable, not super HD. So you can kind of think like, what the heck am I looking at? And then right after she says that, the squirrel pulls out a submachine gun and then just guns down the lady. Not super graphic, pretty over the top, but it's like, okay, obviously that is AI, but it's generated in a way where it's like, that kind of looks like it could be real to some people. Obviously not me, but you could easily fool somebody who is not as intelligent as I am and be like, look at this. Look what happened. This squirrel gunned down this old lady at her door when she opened the door. Look at this. Totally not possible. Can't happen, but AI is just running amok. And I've seen this and it's just like, whoa. How could this even be a thing that we're like okay with, right? AI sucks. It's bad. It's really bad. Like, I don't know if you guys have seen like these like dumb videos that have just been out there on Instagram Reels. I think I've seen them on X. I'm sure they have to be on TikTok, but they're like everywhere now. And it's just like at one point, like it's just like why is this even a thing? Who makes these? Why do they make them? You know, what is the point? You know, just to get like clicks and likes, I guess. Is it like the shock value? Is it like the, oh, look at what I'm gonna stir up? You know, like I've seen these multiple times now, like many times a session, many times a day, and I'm like, why? For what? What purpose? Like I now understand the term brain rot. And it's something that I did not know exactly what it meant. You know, it sounded, it made sense, right? Like your brain is rotting, right? But what is causing your brain to rot? You know? And now I understand what it could be. It could be this that people are seeing on these social media apps that are causing this to happen. Truly is crazy when you think about it. I'm not somebody who's also online a whole lot during the day. But when I do go online, it's very curated to me. A lot of the stuff I see is, for one, now that I've seen a little too much of it, is these AI fake videos. But also I've seen a lot of like clips of podcasts, right? That talk about either food or sports, comedy. Like there's like this one clips I always get where like people pick there'll be two guys that pick build like an all-star caliber team, but with like any player from any year on a specific team, right? Like either baseball, basketball, football. That's what I get, a lot of that type of stuff. I get a lot of sit one, bench one, cut one, that type of stuff. But I don't get a whole lot of like, I guess you could say like modern stuff. But I have a friend who is, I think, online a lot more than I am, at least like on TikTok. And he educated me, on a term that I didn't even know was a term until a few days ago. I remember because we were playing Battlefield, and one of the one of the players, right, that was playing with us had the word torta in his name. I'm like, oh, torta, dude, that sounds really good right now. And he kind of was like, what? Like, and he was kind of laughing. And I'm like, yeah, torta, like, a Mexican sandwich. And he's like, so you like tortas? I'm like, yeah, they're good. Like, he's like, oh no. I'm like, what the heck are you talking about? And you got to understand, like, I like food, and tortas are like really good. Like, I mean, I'm more of a burrito guy, but I'm like, if I have a torta, like if someone buys me a torta, I'm gonna freaking crush that torta. And he was like, oh, what, dude, you like tortas? I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, and he starts laughing. And then the other friend was like, oh man. And part of my language right here. He's like, so you like big bitches? I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's like, that means big woman. I'm like, what? Torta means big woman? I'm like, I don't believe you. And I did look it up. It means big woman. Like, it's a modern day slang slash, I guess you could say, bullying term for bigger woman. Like big woman. Like not like a thick woman, but a big fat woman. And I was like, that is a mean thing to say to somebody. Like, if you were, I guess if you look at it now, how it sounds, torta, like that is like a good word to say for a big woman. It's a good word. It's very mean. It is mean, but it does get straight to the point. It's like it cuts deep right into like exactly what you're referring to. You know, it sounds exactly what it means. So like, I gotta give credit to whoever thought of using it like that. Like, hey man, or hey miss, good job with that word. You know, you really were creative on that one. You struck gold on that one. That's a good insult. It's a very good insult. It's very mean. It's short, sweet, to the point, and we all now know what it means. Torta means big bitch. I'm like, okay, that's cool. You know, but then again, extremely mean. But I guess that's what the point is of an insult, right? That is the point of an insult. Like, what you want it to be nice? Then it wouldn't be an insult. It would be a compliment, which I guess if you were compliments don't have really funny or creative words to describe a person, right? Like a torta is creative and funny in a way, but it's also offensive. But it's supposed to be. It's an insult. Compliments, you're not going to get like any funny or original compliments, right? You're just going to say what you are thinking, what you mean to compliment somebody. Pretty, you're handsome, you look good, you look strong, stuff like that. But torta, oof, that's a good one. I come from an age where a lot of the insults, words that we used to say back in the day, are no longer allowed to be said. So, a torta is a good replacement for I guess you could say, part of my language, big bitch. It's a good replacement word. It's kind of safe. It's kind of cute. It's kind of playful. A little bit. It's kind of innocent in a way. But we all know what it means now. I know what it means now. At first, I didn't know. I was like, yeah, torta, freaking tremendous. I love them. And then they're just like grilling me like, oh man, you don't know. I'm like, no, I don't. I don't know. So that was like a learning lesson. That was something that I did not know existed or was how people spoke, but now I do, and now I will be much more careful when I say the word torta in public now. Something that I never thought that I would have to learn twice, but I guess there's a first time for everything. I had the trailer for the live action Moana teaser trailer has come out, and this is something I talked about like years ago, maybe a year ago, maybe a lot of months ago, but it's been a while. And honestly, like, I knew this was gonna happen, right? I knew this was gonna come out. I talked about it when I did, saying that this is like Disney's like quickest like response to make from an animated movie to make it into a live action ripoff, live action remake in record time, right? I think Moana came out in 2015. I want to say it came out a good while ago. Maybe not that long ago, but it came out like a good amount ago. And when it had came out, I was like, oh wow, this is a hit movie. Everybody likes it. For the most part. Let me see. Let me look it up actually. 2016. So that movie came out in 2016. The remake is supposed to come out in 2026, right? So 10 years within the animated classic that came out, we're getting the remake, the live action remake. And the teaser is like a minute long. And I've never seen Moana ever, but I'm guessing like it's pretty accurate to the cartoon. However, there is a tremendous flaw that they did not include a live action Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson as his character in the teaser trailer. Like, we see him from behind, like his back and his head, behind in his hair, but we don't actually see Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. It's been confirmed that it is him playing his character, Maui, in the movie, but let's be honest. Everybody who watches Moana, who has seen Moana, who has heard of Moana, who knows that Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is in Moana, wants to see Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson reprise his role as Maui in live action. Just for the memes, just for the laughs and the everything. Like, I just want to see him reprise that role in live action. And they did not let us see it. They just teased us. And I'm like saying, like, thinking to myself, like, oh, well, you know what? That's a good tease. You didn't tease, you teased him enough. Like, you didn't show Dwayne as Maui. I get it. That's fine. But at the same time, it's like, God, you know what would have been cool and how funny it would have been to see Dwayne as Maui? That would have been so funny to see. And that was just taken away from us. Like, really? You're going to give us, like, live action Moana singing? You're going to give us, like, the waves and, like, the island vibes and the chicken and, like, the everything else and the music, and you're just not going to show me Maui? Come on now. What do we come for? Why are we here? Not for Moana, for Maui. I don't know. I think that was kind of a colossal mistake upon Disney to not even give us a full-on glimpse of Dwayne, in my humble and idiotic opinion. But hey, you know, if it gets the juices going, if it gets people excited, if it gets people wanting to see more intrigue, like, oh man, I guess I gotta wait for the actual trailer and then the actual movie to see Dwayne, dang it, then I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I'm curious though, because it's gonna be a remake, is it gonna be an actual remake? Or is it gonna be like a remake / new imagining of the movie? It being only 10 years since the original came out, is it going to be the same exact story beat for beat? Or is it going to be a little different? I truly don't know. I wonder if they would actually change things from the cartoon to the real live action movie. Which, let's be honest, it's not totally live action. The chicken is still animated. Everything else all the creatures look animated, just a little bit more in a realistic look. It's just got real people in it now. It's kind of like a combination of like animation and live action people. Like if you remember The Jungle Book, when they remade that movie. The boy Mowgli was real, but Baloo the bear was not real. Shere Khan the tiger wasn't real. Bagheera the panther wasn't real. So I don't know. It could be something like that. You know, it looks like it could be all shot on like a soundstage, just like really good special effects. So it's like barely live action when you really think about it, unless it was all shot on location, which could be cool if it was. You know, credit where credit's due. Shooting on location, in my opinion, is much more shows off more talent when it comes to filmmaking than just shooting on a soundstage and just like all blue screen, in my humble opinion. But that's just what I think. Last thing before I get out of here, I had talked about last week how nobody was excited at all for Call of Duty Black Ops 7. And that has now transitioned from it being launched last Friday to now today, where I can't find anybody online, anywhere, who actually really, really likes this game. I mean, this is a game that came out after Black Ops 6, and nobody wanted it. We were very skeptical. We saw the trailers, we saw the gameplay, we saw what was going to be in it. before the game even released. And when it finally came out, people played it, and nobody likes this game. You could say safely that this game has tremendously flopped. I'm talking no one's buying it. The player count is low. Everyone's talking crap about it. People are disappointed left, right, and center, from the campaign being an embarrassment, offensive, sinfully always online. You can't pause it. It doesn't feel like Call of Duty whatsoever. Ruining the story. Having this being co-op and just like kind of like doing co-op missions and just kind of like beating waves of enemies and no real story, bland characters, not making any sense, just being outrageous for no reason. No one's liking it. No one's liking the campaign at all. I think IGN might have given it a 6, which seems pretty high from what I'm seeing other people give it. Like, what I've heard, it's just been like offensively a bad campaign. Like, we thought that Modern Warfare 3 was bad. I didn't play that game either, but I heard that one was even like bad as well. But this one sounds even worse than the Modern Warfare 3 campaign, which goes to show you that, dang, did they even care about this campaign? They hyped it up to be like the direct sequel to Black Ops 2. We're going to find out so much stuff that was not covered, and like now it's just like this heaping pile of crap that doesn't make any sense. From the campaign to the multiplayer, which I hear is also not very good. Game is kind of choppy. There's AI in it with calling cards. A lot of the calling cards are AI generated, which is like, where's the effort? The zombies is cool. I've heard the multiplayer is pretty cool, but all in all, it's just like not really a game that anybody wanted to play or even wanted it in the first place, and just kind of feels like, why did we even go this route? No one's liking it. No one, from gamers to just people who are streamers, like no one is like wanted or is enjoying playing this game right now, which is like kind of safe to say that this game is a flop. When you got games like Battlefield 6 out, get games like Arc Raiders that are out that are doing very well. People are playing those games more. And it's just like, dang, Call of Duty just put out a game in between two other games that have better, for one, much more happier player bases and games that are actually doing well. And, it's just like they thought that they could probably capitalize because they are Call of Duty at the end of the day. They are the biggest like gaming franchise out there, at least in the first person shooter market. So like they thought, like confidently, as they probably should, like, we'll be all right. We'll be good. We're fine. We're on Game Pass, Xbox and Microsoft are backing us up. We're cool. We're solid. And turns out that ain't the case. This game is critically bad, user rated bad. I mean, all in all, just a really bad game, which is just like, so like, wow, how the mighty have actually fallen. We were also all very skeptical about this game before it even came out. Just the way it looked, the way it was feeling, the way the campaign looked. I was like, what's going on? What the heck? But we'll give it a shot, I guess. No, there was no hidden like, this is actually really good, or like, this is gonna be awesome. It's actually what we all expected, and it's just really, really bad. So that's a shame for them. That really is a shame. But you know what? Sometimes you gotta fall. Sometimes you need failure. Failure will teach you how you can improve in the future, and how you can get better, right? And if Call of Duty needed this failure, they needed it more than ever, because the crap that they were getting away with in the past, and I heard that the SBMM is back in this game. that they had, teased that mode, saying that they're going to have a mode that is like, there's no SBMM, there's no SBMM. And now it's back in full swing, and people are like, what? Why? Why is it back? Why is it here? You lied. It's even sweatier than ever. It's like, it seems like they just can't make the right call, the right decision for the fans that they have. I don't necessarily know exactly what's going on over there, but I think that the people that are running this company right now don't know what Call of Duty is. Truly don't know what it is. And it's sad to see that. It's sad to see a franchise that was always like stable, successful, and, put out the things that we all liked, first person shooter, military, entertaining, good campaign, pretty solid campaign with good missions, and now gone to this. Either it's just because of the budgets, how much stuff costs now, trying to cut corners with budgets, or just people flat out don't know exactly what Call of Duty is. But it seems like it could be all of those. And that's just kind of a shame. How the mighty have fallen. Truly. All right, that's going to be it for me today, people. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Remember, you can find this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube at Intelligent Moron with Alex Silva. New episodes drop every Thursday morning. Be sure to like, subscribe, rate, review, and do all that good stuff. And yes, thank you for listening. And thank you for watching. And I will see you guys next week.